guys, and welcome to Up Next. I'm Savannah.
And I'm Cass.
And here we have a new year and a new show.
We've got loads of new segments and, as you've probably noticed, a new set as well. But first off, we'll start as something a little familiar, News of the Week.
With a new face.
Here's Eliza.
Thanks, guys. This week in Australian politics, Greens leader Richard Di Natale has put forward a climate policy that would see coal exports stopped by 2030 and a complete shift to 100% renewable energy. So far, the Labor Party has committed to 50% renewables by 2030, while Scott Morrison's government is yet to make any plans beyond 2020. In other political news, members of the One Nation Party have been caught in an Al Jazeera News investigation, discussing funding from the US-based National Rifle Association, as well as plans to soften gun laws. In news from the UK, British Prime Minister Theresa May has said she will put forward her resignation once a Brexit deal has been secured by the Parliament. On a lighter note, a British man wanted for drug offences tried to escape James Bond style on a jet ski off the coast of Queensland. Authorities apprehended him at sea while he was trying to reach Papua New Guinea. That's all for the news of the week. Back to you, Cass and Savannah.
Still with the news, our reporters were out and about this week, and as per usual, there were plenty of activists on campus.
Last Thursday, 21st of March, was a day dedicated to fighting inequality and injustices. We spoke to Student Union President Chloe about the campaign Stand with Muslims Against Racism, which shows solidarity for the Muslim community.
I think that there are probably many Muslims in Australia, New Zealand and around the world who are shocked and probably terrified at the reality that we're facing such an extreme level of racism and the rise of the far right today that 50 innocent people could be gunned down in their place of worship in New Zealand. So this was about sending a message to UOW Muslims and Muslims around the world that we hear you, we stand with you, we stand against racism. And I think also to send a message to the government, to the media and to institutions in Australia that have helped to legitimise anti-Muslim racism, which I think is really responsible for the climate that's led to this horrific massacre.
We also spoke to Sam from Vegan Outreach, and this is what he had to say on veganism and the inequalities that are facing animals today.
Yeah, so Vegan Outreach's main focus is outreach on university campuses. We mostly travel around different universities across the world. We host events like this where we show virtual reality footage to students, and we also hand out leaflets that talk about speciesism, why it is that we discriminate against certain species of animals. You know, we treat cats and dogs with love and respect, but other animals like pigs and chickens, we treat them in these brutal ways that would be illegal if we did it to cats or dogs. So that's the main focus of our organisation, is just raising awareness and getting people to think about these issues. The typical response is that people are very shocked by the footage that they see. Most people obviously know that, you know, to get meat we have to kill an animal, but most people aren't aware of how cruel the industry really is, how brutally these animals are slaughtered, and how miserable the conditions they're kept in are until that point. So when most people see the footage, their natural reaction is that they want to see that cruelty stop, and that's what we're here for, to help people then put that into action. So most people have been signing up for our email series where they can get vegan recipes and product suggestions, and most people are starting on their journey.
This is Araceli reporting for UOW TV Multimedia.
It's great to see people out on campus showing what they're passionate about and what they hold dear to their hearts.
Yeah, and something else that's really great to see is the national campaign Close the Gap. And we had a little bit of a chat to Associate Professor Peter Malouf on our new segment, The Weekly.
It's great to be here with our first guest of the year on the new episode, The Weekly. We're joined today by Associate Professor Peter Malouf to tell us more about what the Close the Gap initiative is. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so firstly, could you just run us through what Close the Gap actually is?
Sure. It started 10 years ago, and it's around looking at trying to highlight to government around the health inequalities that are occurring in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander populations, and I guess a push to try to improve the health burden across Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities through this initiative. So each year we have a national Close the Gap Day to really highlight the importance around trying to find local and community solutions to improve health outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
Awesome. What influenced you to be involved with the initiative?
Yeah, look, I guess being a Aboriginal person myself and a Waka Waka and Willy descendant from North Burnett in Queensland. I guess for me, I've worked in the space for about 15 years, and so I've worked in various capacities across the sector, from primary health care to acute care, so hospital-based care. And so I really would like to start the conversation about, well, what are some of the local solutions, particularly here in Illawarra and the region, on reducing and fixing the gap between Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And UOW actually held a event for Close the Gap Day last week. What else is UOW doing to help close the gap?
Yeah, so I guess the initiative last week with the event was really about having an open dialogue and a discussion about, well, why are we celebrating, or why we're recognising this as an important day. And so I guess what we're trying to look at doing as a university is to highlight some of the health and social issues that are facing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, and particularly, increasing the awareness through students and staff around the importance of trying to reduce the gap equities between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. And so some of the initiatives that the university are currently doing is obviously looking at building a culturally capable and competent health workforce. And so across the Faculty of School and Medicine, we're looking at building cultural competency standards throughout some of the curriculums and subjects. So, teaching the importance around looking at cultural safety and how to engage with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in trying to find local solutions around health inequalities.
Fantastic. A bit of a broader question now, but the federal government announced a new partnership between federal and state Indigenous bodies. How is that going to impact us in the Illawarra for Indigenous health, education and employment?
Yeah, so the announcement yesterday was really about a collective of 40 peak national bodies across the state and territories, working with state and territory governments around, fast-tracking the Close the Gap initiative. So the initiative's really about improving social and health outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And so the coalition met yesterday to talk about, well, what are the things that we need to do in this space to move things along. And so for us as a region, I think it's a good step forward, because obviously there's going to be more investment in the space. There's going to be more resource given to our local Aboriginal medical services and community groups that are here to help try and reduce some of the gaps that exist.
Yes, it is a really amazing step. And as students at the University of Wollongong, what can we do to help close the gap?
I think as student bodies, I think it's about being conscious of what the issues that are facing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and being a part of that space. So for students, I think it's more about being advocates and supporting the cause. And so we will, over the 2 sessions, we will have various events throughout the year that students can be a part of, and I guess be that kind of show support and stuff through that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us
thank
today.
you.
It's been fantastic
No
to
worries,
talk
thank
with
you.
you. Thank you.
It was really great to chat to Peter to see his perspective on Close the Gap.
It was really fantastic, and let's hope that it improves. Now on to something a little bit more artsy. Sarah hit the streets to show us the humble history of architecture in Wollongong.
Pink sheds, cockatoos on heads and earthy landscapes. The homes of the Illawarra play an integral role in the history of the area, and what better way to explain this than through artist interpretation? Local historian Dr. Joseph Davids explains the rich history that these works place.
Because Wollongong for a very long time was not the most affluent place in the universe, this exhibition captures it perfectly, because it's about sheds, shacks and shelter, and so it captures the more humble, the vernacular buildings of the area, and some of them are incredibly historically important.
Local artist Riste Ondrevsky has multiple works displayed. His depictions of Port Kembla and Cringilla reflect on his upbringing.
And their works based on Cringilla, which is the area that my father came out from Macedonia back in 1964, and that was my backyard.
The Place to Call Home exhibition has a range of different arts with various styles, but they all have one thing in common. It's how we depict homes here in the Illawarra.
What these do is they provide the images that the text does not provide, and so therefore they provide a wealth of information about the history of Wollongong.
The exhibition is on display until the 21st of July at the Wollongong City Gallery, and you can hear artists Riste Ondrevsky and Frank Nolan talk about their works on Wednesday the 5th of June. Sarah Gore, UOW TV, Multimedia.
Have you had a chance to check out what's been happening on Crown Street lately and the transformations going on?
Yeah, I've actually seen that they've been turning empty spaces into creative spaces. Here's Harry Phillips with more.
The past year, Wollongong has seen a successful and recognisable boom in its creative arts scene and industry. Renew Australia has launched the exciting Renew Wollongong project, which will revitalise the CBD by changing empty spaces into creative places. Renew Australia, a social enterprise designed to catalyse community renewal, working with property owners, commercial and public buildings, making them available for short-term use by local or resident artists, creative projects and community initiatives. Local artist of 20 years, Jennifer Anderson, is one of the 2 residing creatives supported by Renew, based at the heart of Crown Street Mall. Jennifer says she is appreciative of all the support from the local community and now Renew Australia.
I get a lot of support. The Renew thing is just amazing.
Renew Australia has secured support and funding from Wollongong Council to run a renewed Wollongong project focusing on Lower Crown Street Mall. Renew Wollongong has already activated 2 spaces this month, the 247 space and Jennifer Anderson's art, both on Crown Street. Although even without the support of Renew, local new art spaces are seeing success. Wollongong's very first art and wine studio has graced the Illawarra region, offering participants to steer away from the traditional pub and bar scene, allowing them to enjoy a glass of wine, or 2, and paint a masterpiece. Former real estate agent Brooke Hughes claims that even though they've only just opened, they're already booking out sessions.
Basically what the SIP studio is, it's a place where you come and learn to paint, but you also bring wine, so it makes it fun.
I mean, we've only been open since Wednesday and we're already booking out.
Wollongong is home to a diverse range of creatives and creative activities. New creative art spaces, such as these ones, are offering and providing more engagement to the local community and support for those artists. Following the success of such businesses, and now with the support of Renew Australia, Wollongong's creative art scene is looking promising for local artists, providing them with the support needed. Harry Phillips reporting, UOW TV Multimedia.
That SIP studio looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it?
It sure does. You should book a session.
If only it's not booked out.
Sounds good. Well, staying on the cultural theme now, we have a brand new segment, which is Learning Latin, America, with Layla.
Hola, I'm Layla, and this is Learning Latin, America, your source of information about the other side of the globe. And today, we are starting with some questions. What is Latin America? Where is it? And what do you know about it? So, did you know that Latin America is actually more than a place on the map? It's a cultural identity. It is a term for all the countries that speak Romance languages, such as Spanish, Portuguese, and French. That includes basically most of the countries south of Mexico. Different from what most people think, Latin America is not the same as Central America or South America. That's just the geography. Sounds a little bit confusing? Yeah, I know, but at least you learned something about Latin America today.
It feels like we're on the Amazing Race.
What do you mean?
Going all the way from Latin America to our own backyards. And if you've ever wondered what you could do here, here's Maddie with Revealing Wollongong.
Lost track of the forest through the trees, forgot what I was chasing. Spent so many nights living out at sea that my heart has gone vacant. And everybody who was close to me all stayed on dry land.
This is pretty cool.
So now I'm driving back on Interstate West. I just gotta feel something. Not gonna wait till the morning, because something's gonna change my mind. I don't wanna change my mind.
So we actually managed to stumble across this beautiful statue by Bert Lugelman, who actually has an art exhibition at the Panisi Cafe Gallery at the moment. And he also designed the amazing statue, Gateway to Mount Kira, which is actually on the UOW grounds. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
my best friend an apologetic text. He says to come over. Well, the whole damn town has been waiting for the day when you would come back here. There was dancing and
Watching all that hiking's making me really hungry.
Well, here's the segment for you. 60-second snacks with Liv and a childhood favourite, chocolate crackles.
Not only a childhood favourite though, I love them too.
Hi, welcome to 60-second snacks. This week we're making chocolate crackles and taking a trip down memory lane. You will need cocoa powder, icing sugar, desiccated coconut, rice bubbles and kofa. First off, we're going to heat the kofa on the stove in a bain-marie, is that what it's called? I'm just going to dump my 250 grams of vegetable fat in there. Now while that's melting, we're going to mix our dry ingredients. Our rice bubbles, our desiccated coconut, our icing sugar and our cocoa powder. I'm going to mix it together until it's well combined. Now we wait 20 minutes for the kofa to melt.
One eternity later.
Oh, sounds concerning. Uh-oh. We just pour it in there. Beautiful. Now we dispose of this. And we just thoroughly mix it through. All that remains is that we scoop it into our prepared patty pans. You can choose whatever size you like. We've made miniature ones, some very large and in charge ones.
They smell good.
Perfect. Now we put them in the fridge and we wait for them to set. Should take about 20 minutes.
60-second snacks.
There we go.
Oh, good. Probably a bit raw in the guts.
Raw?
When it's cooked, there's some flake or powder.
Oh.
But I have to eat it, doesn't matter. It's nice.
Thanks for watching this week's 60-second snacks. Enjoy!
Well, if you feel like you've been missing out on all things music over the break, the Earworm's back and Sam's got you covered.
We've got you covered all semester long for what's on in the gong and where you'll find us tapping our toes with our picks of local and visiting acts. To start off the week is Lemon Row, the dynamic local surf rock duo that went from strength to strength in 2018, playing a stack of shows around town. After putting in the hours perfecting their live show, tonight they're rewarded with headlining a chockers bill of tasty local music. Horsing around, Florange and Doocy Monks will be warming things up, so make sure you get down to Rad early for this one. And something a bit different on Friday is coming to Unibar, a celebration of the legendary reggae icon Bob Marley, brought to life by a 10-piece band featuring Nicky Bomba. Nicky is most well known for fronting Melbourne Ska Orchestra, as well as his percussion for John Butler Trio. And on Friday he'll combine with a massive band for what looks to be a hell of a show. Saturday night you're spoilt for choice around town with a bunch of great live music happening. First up we have Holly Cole at Rad. Holly hails from Sydney and with her honey tones and raw lyricism you'll be feeling all the feels as she whisks you away. We're featuring Holly this week on the Earworm, so if you like what you're hearing, then Rad is the place for you this Saturday night. Sam Allen, Kay Proudlove will be supporting, so head down early to cop the full show. And Tropical Fuckstorm are visiting the Gong as well on Saturday, making the trip from Melbourne to grace us with their psychedelic goodness. Once described as a torrid, messy, thoroughly irreverent and acidly funny project, it's no surprise that these guys have been doing the rounds with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The group had a massive 2018 with the release of their debut EP, a sold-out national tour and a number of radio feature albums. The group are looking to keep up the momentum at Unibar this Saturday. Supports are from Loose Fit and Party Dozen, so don't miss this one. And Sunday is your weekly wind down at North Gong Hotel, with this week's bill featuring some extra tasty acts. Sparrows tops the lineup, the electro-pop goddess bringing her catchy and infectious tunes for us to revel in. You may have caught the Sydney Sider on Triple J with hits like Over and Out, copping lots of love, and most recently her EP, Do You Want to Dance, Can I Be the One? Joined by Vanilla Gorilla, Rum Jungle and Ivory, finish off your week the best way possible and get down to North Gong with bands kicking off at 4. That's all for this week. Be sure to get out and support live music wherever you can. We'll catch you next week.
I think we probably should have had a language warning before that one.
I think we might have. Well, that's our very first show of the year and our very first Up Next. We'll see you next week.
See
Thanks,
ya.
guys.